Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget friendly, and delicious. So if you're looking for some weeknight meal ideas for your family, just keep watching. So for dinner this first night, we had just gotten back, my mom and I, from Chicago the day before. And so I wanted something easy for dinner, but I also wanted something that felt like a home cooked meal, if that makes sense. And so I decided to do some baked chicken thighs. Here's what I did. I've got my oven preheating to 425 degrees. I have some bone-in skin on chicken thighs. I patted them dry. I'm going to rub both sides with some olive oil, and then you can use whatever seasonings you want. Today I decided to use paprika, and then I tried this roasted chicken Kinder's seasoning. And so once I got the seasoning rubbed on there, I popped them into the preheated oven and baked these for about 40 minutes. You just want to cook it until the chicken's at least 165 degrees internal temperature and the skin of the chicken is nice and brown and crispy. I had a bag of broccolini in my fridge that I needed to use up, so I decided to roast it. I'm going to add that to a sheet pan, drizzle that with some olive oil, and then for the seasoning, I decided to use the Auntie Nono's Everything seasoning. This is just an all-purpose seasoning. I do have a code, a discount for Auntie Nono's. If you're interested, that's linked in the description box below for you. And then for the other side, I have this cheddar broccoli nor rice side. So for the broccolini, I popped it into the oven along with the chicken, so that was 425 degrees, and I baked it for like 8 or 9 minutes, and then I cooked up that rice packet according to the package instructions. And here is my plate. I forgot to get a picture of Gary's plate, but he ate literally the exact same thing. We've got the chicken, the rice, and the broccolini. An easy dinner to put together, but yummy. I asked Gary what I could make for him that he had been craving or that sounded good because I'd been gone for several days, and he requested burgers. So I decided to do like In-N-Out style burgers. I have combined several different recipes of the In-N-Out style sauce into like my own recipe. And so I'll type that out in the description box below for you. But here are all of the ingredients that I used. You can check the description box for the exact measurements. Here's the finished sauce, and I do like to refrigerate this for at least a couple hours before serving. So the hamburgers, I just took ground beef, formed it into 4 hamburger patties. I used the Steak and Shake hamburger and fry seasoning. I cooked them on my little Cuisinart indoor grill and then topped them with a slice of American cheese. Now here I made some caramelized onions, just diced up some onions, cooked them in a little bit of butter on like medium low heat until they were super tender and really brown. With his burgers, Gary wanted chili cheese fries, so this is just a little can of hot dog chili that I warmed up on top of the stove. And then I took some bagged crinkle cut fries and deep fried them just according to the package instructions. Here are the burgers. So for the burgers, what I did was top them with some of the caramelized onions, some bacon, lettuce, tomato, a little bit of ketchup, some pickles, and then that copycat In-N-Out sauce that we made. And then for Gary's fries, he has the fries, the chili, and some shredded cheese. And then for my fries, I did like the animal style loaded fries, so crinkle cut fries, sliced American cheese, bacon, those caramelized onions, and then the In-N-Out sauce. And this was so stinking good, delicious. Yum, 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 yum. If you've been with me for a while, you have seen me make creamy Italian chicken and rice time and time and time again. It is such a family favorite. Just a reminder, it is basically chicken breast, cream cheese, cream of chicken soup, dry Italian dressing mix, cook it in the crock pot, and then you can shred or dice the chicken. And I like to serve it over rice. A lot of people like it over pasta. Gary likes it over pasta. You can do mashed potatoes, but it's a family favorite. We love it. I came across this recipe from the Plain Chicken called Angel Chicken and Rice Casserole, and as soon as I saw it, I knew I had to make it. One, love the Plain Chicken's recipes. We've never made something of hers that we haven't loved, but two, it's basically the exact same ingredients as the creamy Italian chicken. And so we're gonna make it together, and I will have the recipe linked in the description box below for you. Here's what I did. My oven is preheating to 350 degrees. In this bowl, I've got some cooked white rice. I'm going to add in some softened butter, followed by some softened cream cheese. And a quick note on this recipe. So I halved most of the ingredients in this recipe, but I did use a full can of cream of chicken soup, if that makes sense. But I halved all the other ingredients. I'm adding in the packet of dry Italian dressing mix. I'm going to give that a stir. And then I'm going to add in garlic powder, followed by some cooked chicken. Now you can dice the chicken, shred it. I happen to have some already cooked and shredded chicken in the freezer, so I let that thaw, but you could use leftover chicken or rotisserie chicken. Now I'm going to add in that can of cream of chicken soup, give that a really good mix, and then I gave it a taste, and it was seasoned to my liking. Now, the recipe said to do two things at this point. One, to add in shredded cheese to the mixture, which I didn't want to do because I just wanted to taste it closer to the creamy Italian chicken that I make. So I did it without the cheese. And then two, you're supposed to add some chicken stock to this, which I just completely brain farted and didn't add. It would have been dry because I have the recipe if I wouldn't have used the whole can of cream of chicken soup. But because I used the whole can, it wasn't that dry. But I would recommend you adding that in. So I gave that a really good mix. Put that into a greased casserole dish. I topped half of it with the shredded cheese because, like I said, I wasn't sure if I would like the cheese with the combination of the ingredients. And then on the other half, I decided to do some crushed up buttered crackers. That just sounded good to me. I popped this into the preheated oven and I baked it for about 25 minutes or so. The recipe said to bake it for part of the time covered with foil and then uncover it, but I didn't do that one. I didn't feel like it was necessary, but two, I wanted the buttered crackers to get golden brown. But yeah, you just pop it in the oven for about 20 minutes until everything's warmed through. For the side, I did some Parmesan roasted green beans. So I've got green beans added to a cookie sheet. I'm going to drizzle that with some olive oil. For the seasoning, I decided to use this buttery garlic and herb seasoning from Kinder's. I'm going to add that. Use whatever seasonings you like. I'm then going to add some grated Parmesan cheese, give that a toss. I popped this into the oven along with the chicken, so it was at 350 degrees, and I baked these for about 10 to 12 minutes until the green beans were tender. Here are the plates. So for Gary, I gave him the portion with the shredded cheese. I took some of the Ritz cracker portion, and this casserole, I knew I would love it. As soon as I saw the cream of chicken soup, the chicken, the Italian dressing mix, the cream cheese, it very, very similar to that. It was delicious. So if you're looking for, an easy weeknight meal, something to maybe take to church or a potluck or take to a friend or neighbor or whatever, I would recommend you give this recipe a try. Or if you just want to make it for yourself, it was delicious. The next day was Easter. My family came over and we celebrated. I didn't show me cooking anything. I've shared everything that I made before on my channel, some of them many times. So I'll have all the videos linked down in the description box below for you. Here's an overview of what I made. I did a hash brown casserole in the crock pot. I've got just the brown and serve dinner rolls that I cooked up. And then I did the crock pot macaroni and cheese. This macaroni and cheese is so good. I've talked about it so many times. I made some glazed ham in the crock pot. I did a half recipe of corn pudding and then some glazed carrots. My mom brought some baked beans, and then you can't have Easter without deviled eggs, of course. So I made some deviled eggs. And then for the desserts, first, y'all, my mom bought me this little 3-tiered stand. We found this at the Dollar Tree in Kentucky. It was $5. Isn't this adorable? So I had to use it. I just put some the Reese's Easter eggs on top. The second plate has some dipped sugar wafer cookies. I shared this, I think it was on Valentine's Day, how to do this. I'll link that video in the description box below for you. Only difference is I used Easter sprinkles. And then on the bottom, I have vanilla pudding mixed chocolate chip cookies, and I'll again have that video link down below. I added some Easter sprinkles to that, and then I made a half of the recipe of, this is a mandarin orange cake, or otherwise known as a pig picking cake. It is delicious. It is so, so good. Here is a picture of my plate. Everything was delicious, and it was really nice celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ with my family. If you celebrate Easter, I hope that you had a wonderful Easter as well. And of course, with all that food, we had tons of leftovers. So dinner the next night, I just pulled out the leftovers and we warmed it up. But I decided I wanted a pineapple casserole to go with it. Now, I've shared this before on my channel. I know if you've never had this before and you see me making this, you look at the recipe, you're going to be like, what in the world is this? But this is delicious. I don't know why it works, but it works. And so if you like, you know, pineapple, if you like the combination of ham and fruit, give this a try. Like I said, I know it seems weird, but it's good. So to this bowl, I'm going to add in some pineapple juice. I just used the juice that I drained off of canned pineapple. We're going to add in flour, give that a really good mix. Next, I'm adding in some granulated sugar, again, giving that a really good mix. Now, for the pineapple, I am using a can of crushed pineapple that I drained. You can use pineapple chunks, pineapple tidbits. I also had a few slices of pineapple, and so I didn't want that to go to waste. They were in my fridge, so I just chopped them up and added that in. Now we're going to add in some shredded cheddar cheese. I know, like I said, sounds weird, but just stay with me. We're going to give that a mix, and now we're going to take some crackers. You can use Ritz crackers. I have these Townhouse crackers. You're going to crush them up. You're going to add some of them to the mixture. Give it a mix. We're going to add this into a greased casserole dish, and once we've spread that out, we're going to melt some butter, mix that with those crushed up crackers, top our casserole with that, and then this is going to go into a preheated oven set at 350 degrees, and you're going to bake this for about 20 to 30 minutes until the top is golden brown. This is what it looked like when it was done, and it pairs so well with ham. And then for the macaroni and cheese, what I did was added that to a pot on the stove with a little bit of milk and just warmed it up over like medium, low heat until it was nice and creamy again. Here are the plates. Delicious. I had some chicken cutlets in my freezer that I needed to use up, so I decided to do tequila lime chicken clubs. I've shared this before on my channel, but I'll quickly go through it with you. Here are the ingredients that we're going to need to marinate the chicken. You can check the recipe in the description box below for the exact measurements. I've got minced garlic, fresh limes, some tequila. I'm using non-alcoholic tequila. You can use the real stuff if you want. I have some chipotles and adobo, salt, cilantro. I combined all of that. I used a measuring glass. You can do it in a bowl. And then I added that along with the chicken cutlets to a Ziploc bag, marinated it overnight. So here are the chicken cutlets. I cut them in half so that they would fit on a sandwich better. And then I grilled them again. I just used the indoor Cuisinart grill. You can grill it on an outdoor grill, bake them, cook them on top of the stove, cook them in your air fryer, however you want. And then I wasn't sure how hungry we would be, so I only put a slice of provolone on 2 of the pieces of chicken, and that turned out perfectly. We ended up using the other 2 for something else. Now, we are going to do a chipotle mayonnaise to go on top of the sandwiches. You can use a chipotle aioli or mayonnaise, you know, that you can buy at the grocery store, or you can just make your own. It's just mayonnaise and chipotles and adobo. So I gave it a mix, and I apologize. I don't know why the picture has this coloring. I have tried editing it and adding it and deleting it and back, and it's just, I don't know what's wrong with this. But I just mixed it, and then you just want to pop it into the refrigerator for maybe 30 minutes to an hour before you serve it. To go along with this, I decided to do some homemade potato wedges. So here I've got a couple russet potatoes. I washed them really well. I just cut them into wedge shapes, and I soaked them in some cold water for about 30 minutes, drained the water off, patted them dry really well. I've got them back in a bowl. I'm going to drizzle them with some oil, and for seasonings, use whatever seasonings you want. I decided to do some salt, paprika, garlic powder, onion powder. And I did not follow a recipe for this. I just eyeballed all of the ingredients. I'm going to add some salt and pepper. And then this is totally optional. You do not have to use this at all. But I have some of this Badia Mojo Rub Citrus blend seasoning. And I just thought that that would go well with the tequila lime chicken. So I added a little bit of that. I'm going to give that a toss. And then I placed the wedges in a single layer with some room around them on a foil lined cookie sheet. I baked these at 425 degrees for about 20 minutes, gave them a flip, cooked them for another 20 minutes. I mean, it just really depends on how thick you cut your wedges. And once they are fork tender and golden brown, they are done. Here's what I'm going to use to assemble the sandwiches. I've got some lettuce, sliced tomato, cooked bacon, and then I use sliced provolone on the chicken, and then we've got that chipotle mayonnaise. So I just assembled the sandwiches, and then we have the potato wedges on the side, and this was delicious. So good. The next day was Gary's birthday. If you're new to my channel, Gary is my husband. He really wanted Waffle House. He loves him some Waffle House, and we don't go that often. So on his birthday, we wanted to make sure that we went. He always gets the Texas bacon cheesesteak melt, and I've had a bite of it a couple of times, and I'm always like, next time I need to get that, and then I forget. So this time I was like, no, that's what I'm getting. So I got the Texas cheesesteak melt. I had them add sauteed mushrooms in with the onions. And then for my hash browns, I like them very simple, just scattered and smothered. So scattered with onions. For him, he got the Texas bacon cheesesteak melt, and then he added a fried egg. And for his hash browns, he likes everything except the chili and gravy. He's like the exact opposite of me. And then we got a waffle to split. It was so stinking delicious. Look, I'm not even going to lie. I've been to Waffle House before when there has been some very questionable cooking and health safety mistakes and kind of, you know, whatever. Sometimes it can be a little sketchy. But any place that fries their eggs and everything in bacon grease is all right with me. It's not super fancy food, but can't go wrong with Waffle House. It is delicious. All right, so for Gary's birthday dinner, I made what he requested. I did not show me walking through everything step by step. One, I just had a lot going on, and I was also trying to focus on him. But two, again, most of these things, if not all, I have shared before on my channel. So let me walk you through it real quick. First up for the steak. On Easter, my dad brought this over to us. He'd found these thin cut T-bone steaks. He got them on sale at Food Lion. So I decided to marinate it. I will have the recipe that I use in the description box below for you. Here are all the ingredients for the marinade. I just combined all of that and then placed the marinade along with the T-bone steaks in a Ziploc bag. Marinated it. I can't talk today, y'all. I'm sorry. For like 3 or 4 hours. And then I removed the T-bone steaks about an hour before I wanted to cook them from the fridge. Removed it from the marinade, patted it dry really well, and then I used, again, the Cuisinart indoor grill to grill them up. I decided last minute to do some sauteed onions and mushrooms. I didn't have any fresh mushrooms, so I just sliced up an onion, added that to a skillet with a little bit of butter along with some drained canned mushrooms, little salt and pepper, and then I just cooked them until they were both tender. I let the steak rest for about 10 minutes and then sliced it up, and then we have the sauteed onions and mushrooms. Gary requested either stuffed clams or scallops, and I'd actually bought some a few months ago when they were on sale at Publix. They were BOGO, and so I pulled them out of the freezer and just cooked it according to the package instructions. For the lobster, I've shared how to do this before. We have a couple lobster tails here. I made a butter, just melted butter, some garlic powder, paprika, salt, pepper. I split the lobster tail, add some of the butter, and then I cooked this in the air fryer at about 390 degrees for maybe about 7 to 8 minutes, and then have the butter for extra dipping for the lobster. Gary requested twice baked potatoes. I took a couple russet potatoes, baked them in the oven until they were fork tender, scooped out the insides into a bowl, added some butter, some milk, sour cream, salt, pepper, a little bit of ranch dressing, shredded cheese, chopped up cooked bacon, and then gave that a really good mix, put it back into the potato skins, added a little more shredded cheese and bacon on top, baked them at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes, and then garnished them with some chopped green onions. So here's everything finished. I didn't show you two things. So I made a Caesar salad, just some chopped up romaine lettuce, grated Parmesan cheese, croutons, the Ken's Caesar dressing. And then I'd bought a shrimp ring at Kroger on sale. It was like $3. So I set that out. And then for his birthday cake, he said I could do whatever. He really didn't care. I know that he loves the Hershey's chocolate cake. And so I did a half recipe of that. And I made some chocolate dipped strawberries. I had strawberries and I had some of the like chocolate dipping cups, and so I just dipped the strawberries and let them set. And then here is the plate and the cake. Everything was delicious. Now obviously we had a ton of food. We had leftovers for a couple days, but everything was really good, and he had a wonderful birthday, which is all that matters. All right, that is it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope that you liked this video. If you did, hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.